Alright gang, you've seen a lot of these John Deere zero turns in the shop. This is a Z445. Belongs to my neighbor, and we're just doing nice voice crack there. We're just doing a full service on it. Something else that I'm going to do. It appears as though this arm is just bent. If you look, they're just not even. Zippo being OCD. I'm gonna pop the bolts off here, stick that in the vise and give it a little tweak, bring it back up. And when I bring it back up, that should also stop them from banging into one another. Something else that I wanted to talk about was the audio. I have noticed that I've had to increase the volume exponentially over the Hero 5's volume. I don't know why. I am looking into it. One thing that I did do is change one setting on the Hero 7. I'm not thrilled with the camera, and for the amount of money that they cost, this thing may very well just end up going back, and I'll stick with my Hero 5 and possibly go look at a proper DSLR or something along those lines to make sure that I have full and complete control of what's going on. The one thing that I really, or the two things that I really do like about it is the stability, auto stability, hyper stability, I think they call it, almost gimbal-like, and the fact that I can zoom, but I can only zoom and then video. I can't zoom while videotaping. So I have to preemptively think things through, and if I feel like I need to zoom, I need to zoom before starting the video up. But anyway, let's tear into this. First thing we're going to do is pull that one arm off and get it straightened out. And also, it has a little bit of a tracking issue. I'll address that as well, and that's simply, if you look here, there are a number of areas. Well, that just, all that does is keeps the handles even. When you're going full steam, if you have to pull back on one or the other, then you need to adjust one or the other so that when both of these are full forward, as you can see, this one's even forward further. If they're full forward, it should track straight. So we're going to look at that as well. But just a general service. We've got a replacement air filter ready to go in. We've got a replacement oil filter. We've got replacement spark plugs. Going to change the oil, obviously. This one does have an oil filter, so it is getting proper 10W30 put in it. We're going to grease the spindles. We're going to raise the whole thing up, clean all the broccoli out from underneath the deck, and grease all of the grease zerks. You guys don't necessarily need to follow me on that part. All you have to do is just look for a grease zerk. If you see one, shoot grease in it. That's just the way that it works. And I don't see any on these kingpins here at all, which is kind of odd. But anyway, that's what we're going to do. So instead of me sitting here babbling, let's just get into it. See you guys as soon as I get this arm off and over in the vise. Alright, this is a quick and easy one. All I'm going to do is just pull back on it, get a little bit of a bend on it, go back and match it up with the one that is on there and see if we have corrected our issue of them coming in and clapping together. I guess that's easier said than done, isn't it? Let's get a helper bar on there. What do you say? You have a big enough pipe? I don't know if we do or not. That's not big enough. This is kind of overkill, but maybe the hole's big enough. There we go. Okay, let's bend it back just a little bit. Do you think that was enough? Well, let's go over to the mower and find out. Let's get her on there. Just a couple of bolts, that's all it is. I did not move their position here. I'm going to leave that position alone. Well, no, this one moved forward a little bit further. I'm going to move the top one over one slot. One tiny little slot. See if that helps. These are nylock nuts. Boy, I'm glad that didn't drop down into oblivion. I hope I'm talking loud enough. This goofy camera. Success. Now let's move them forward. Oh, I needed to move it forward, not back. All right, we'll take care of that right now. Move forward two. Too much. No, yeah, it's too much. There we go. Right there. Like watching paint dry, isn't it? Something else you can do if you don't have a big vise and you can't get the lever bent is to take these apart and add a washer between these two pieces. See what we got. There we go. We are even. Zippo's happy. Alright, next up, you guys don't really need to see it, but I will show you here real quick after I turn the microphone around. It's aggravating. We have grease zerks over top of each of the spindles, and how you access this one is easy enough. You have one bolt here, you remove that bolt, this whole panel comes off, let you get down there, and I'm also going to check the idler pulleys, make sure they're okay, and also check the belts. Then after that, we'll go to the back side, get the engine's already warmed up, we'll get the oil drained out, get the oil filter off, put a new fuel filter on, new spark plugs, new oil filter, fill it up with oil, new air filter, and we should be a golden. Did I say air filter twice? I don't think I did. So let me get things greased up here. Then we'll come back here and we'll do the oil change service. Something else I like to do when I service is always take the belt covers off, because they're always going to be really packed with grease. But you can see the grease zerks here, and they are bone dry, so that's not a good sign. I'll check the bearings, make sure that they're okay. Got that one, and then we have the third one right here underneath that cover that was here. So we're just going to grease those. Looking at the belt is in very good shape, so we don't need to worry about the belt. Just try to wiggle all of the idler pulleys. That one has a little bit of wiggle to it, but I think it's just not tight enough, so I'll tighten that down just a little bit more. It just feels like, it doesn't feel like bearing play, it just feels like a space play, like it's the whole thing's just moving up and down. And we have a bunch of lubrication points that I also like to do where the deck's moving around a lot on your cotter pins. Just anywhere that looks like it's a moving part, I make sure that I lubricate a little bit. Like here, I'll dribble a little oil down on the deck lever, on the brake lever, on these levers, all the linkages up underneath the seat. Just a little bit of oil, just to keep everything happy. Yes, it's going to catch grass, but the grass is going to help insulate and hold that oil in and keep the oil in place. So that's what that's what the game plan is as far as that goes. So oil filter's very easily accessible, as is the air filter. This spark plug over here is a little bit difficult, but the seat goes up and the entire pan goes up, where we can check the, well, does it? No, but it still gives me more room. Also allows me to check the hydraulic oil and the reservoir to make sure that the hydraulic oil looks good and that we don't have any issues there. We've got a lot of other pivot points down here that will also squirt with a little bit of oil. So, and the throttle cable is just a little bit stiff, as is the choke, so we'll lubricate those. We just make sure that we go over everything so that it'll make it to the next service. After you're done greasing anything with a grease gun, make sure that you go back and wipe the excess grease off. That'll just help keep it from absorbing a bunch of debris. Help keep from a bunch of debris just sticking to the grease. Now, I do this on spindles. I do not do this on, say, king pins or something like that, like what would be on this mower up front here. So there we go. Did discover we are a little bit low on hydraulic oil, so I got to grab my hydraulic oil and top the tank off. Got our new air cleaner on. I will be pulling the blower housing off because it says every 100 hours to pull it off and clean the fins, and I don't know if it's even ever been done. So we're going to make sure that we do that, get that cover off of there. And I'll show you guys the condition after I get the cover off. Well, that's a Kawasaki for you. Look how nice and clean. And I have not cleaned it. I have just the tiniest little bit right here around this spark plug wire. That's all I see in there. And that was absolutely it. That's nice. A little bit around this one too. We'll get that off of there. The spark plug wire just wasn't down in its seat where it should be, and if it had been, even that little bit would have gotten trapped by this. That's nice. I like that. I like that really well. Got a little bit here. Get that off. And a little bit there. That's it. That's all we have. I'll take that every day. It also gives you a chance to check your valve covers for oil leaks and the like. So, what do we have here? Uh-oh. We got a nut. Someone's going nuts. Well, it's probably roasted. Anyway, there we go. We're in really good shape as far as underneath the blower housing goes. But it's always a good idea to check, right? Right. That's what I harp on with the Intex. Got to make sure that you keep the grass clippings cleared out, which we'll be doing eventually on Winnie the Pooh lawn if Zippo ever gets the time. So now I'm just going to take the blowgun, blow this out a little bit. Easy access to the fuel filter now, easy access to the spark plugs, which are going to get changed, and then we'll drop the oil filter off, drop the oil drain plug, which is just right below it, a little black tab right there. They make it pretty easy. So we'll get the oil changed, get things cleaned up, throw it back together, take it outside, clean all the broccoli out from underneath the deck, pull the blades, sharpen the blades, and this project will be done. As you see, I have topped off the hydraulic fluid. Just letting the filter sit there, or the funnel sit there and drain off the excess oil. And keep your customer's equipment clean. Don't spill oil and not clean it up. But we'll also take it outside and take the blowgun and just blow everything off, get all the grass clippings and everything cleaned off of it. So let's see. Well, I guess the next thing you guys are going to see is me out there in this sweltering heat, cleaning the broccoli and taking the blades off. So you guys stay tuned for that. Just standard oil change. Nothing to be afraid of here. As far as your quart capacity, it's right there. Tells you right there. It's the Z445 1.6 quarts. It's right there. All you got to do is look. All right. No easier way to know when you need your next oil change than to write it on the oil filter. Next 567 hours, 50 hours from now. Write the date you did it, and I just initial all oil changes and services that I do. These are the original plugs. They're burning really well. No issues there. New plugs installed. And go that extra mile if you're doing it for somebody. People look back there and see a clean engine. Just makes them smile. After you're finished with what you think is everything, start that engine. Let it run for a little bit to fill the oil filter, and also to come over here and fill the fuel filter to make sure also that you've got it facing in the right direction, because we may have it backwards. You never know. There was no arrow on that one, which kind of surprised me. Let's see what we got. We are still not pulling fuel through it. There we go. All right, we're pulling fuel. We got it. And you also want to inspect for any leaks after you have accomplished that. Wipe up any messes that you may have made, which I just noticed one from changing the oil filter. I've got a little bit that came down and hit the frame here. So just wipe it out and then let it sit and settle for a minute or two, and then come back and you want to check your oil. So that's what I'm going to do right now. It's 1.6 quarts, so it's just a little bit over 1.5 quarts. Let's see what we've got. We are right at the full line, so we are good. We've got the full capacity in there. I didn't have to add any more. That's good. Now the next thing that we're going to do, and I'm not going to do it outside. I'm just going to mess up the shop because it is so hot out there. I want to see what we've got the shop temperature at right now. Let's see. We've got it at right about 80 degrees. So it's 95 out with a heat index of 110 right now. Yeah, how about them apples? I'm going to mess up the shop because I don't want to go out there and brave that heat. I'm not doing a whole lot of sweating in the shop, which tells me the humidity's out of the air, even though it's 80 degrees. It's a dry 80 degrees. All right, let me get this thing up on its tail, and we'll take a look and see what kind of shape everything is in underneath. Hang on. I've gone over this a number of times in other videos, but I'll do it now too. We've got the blades off of the John Deere Z445, and we're going to sharpen them. And like I say, I've said it before. You want to use your body and just rock side to side when you're sharpening, and sharpen out, come back in, and you'll find your angle. Now these were ground, and they were ground too steeply. Kind of makes my job a little easier. I don't have to take off as much material to get them back to a good edge. But you're just going to want to do like I'm doing here. Lean into it, lean back a little bit, lean back in, and keep going. And these little guys right here are very cheap insurance. Blade balancer. Balancing those blades is really important. I've got some grass to knock off of these, so I'll do that. But I just wanted to put a little refresher, a little reminder out there to let you guys know my technique for sharpening. I use an angle grinder. Actually, while we're on the subject of blade sharpening, there will come a time in the not so distant future where I'm going to get an actual mower blade grinder. That is going to be so nice to have in the shop, and it's not huge, so that's going to make it even better. Let you set your angle on it. It's a nice aggressive stone. But anyway, enough of that. I'm going to get these things sharpened up, get the deck cleaned off, get it back down on the ground, put the covers back on it, and get this thing back over to my neighbor. So next time you see it, it'll be sitting outside, not washed, but just all the grass blowing out of it, and it being ready for another 50 hours of service. So we'll see you guys on the outro. One more thing on the subject of blades. See these notches that are in here from hitting obstacles? After you get done sharpening, put this blade in the middle, but don't grind so much that you take those out. You don't have to. You seriously don't have to get all those out. During periodic sharpenings, they'll eventually go away. And rotate your blades so long as they're the same size, and keep moving the blade with the dings into the center spindle or to the side that's not catching stuff. So this blade's pretty well chewed up, and we've got a pretty good gouge in this one. But if you can see here, I didn't take that gouge all the way out. I didn't take that gouge all the way out. I just sharpened it down to where the majority of the edge is even with the bottom and ready to cut for another 50 hours. Alright, there we go. There is one fully serviced John Deere Z445 zero turn. Went through and blew everything off, so there's no grass anywhere. Checked the tire pressure, took care of the engine, blew all of the grass that was all accumulated all up in here, all over here, topped off the hydraulic tank. I did not put gas in it because that's not my job. And you can see I've got monkey balls, and I mean the shop's a mess again, but that's alright. It's just a quick sweep job. Change the oil, new oil filter, again with the next service interval on the oil filter. Same thing with the air filter. It is on there as well. Actually, I think what I wrote on there was 100 hours, which is what they call for, right? So this has 567 for 50 hours. This has 617, so it's a no-brainer, and everybody knows when it's time for things to get done. So we got that. I lubricated the cables, so the cables work nice and easy now. And of course, the first thing that we did was straighten out that arm so they weren't knocking together. And now all that's left is to take this thing, cleaned underneath the deck, sharpen the blades, lubed all of the critical points, the spindles, so on and so forth. And just as a little added extra, just cleaned the plastics on the engine when we pulled the engine cover to make sure that we didn't have any grass accumulation or any excessive oil. Changed the fuel filter. That would be what Zippo would call a full service. And what do I charge for a full service? Get a hold of me if you want one. Bring your machine over, and then you'll find out. Usually it's parts plus my time. There's a book on servicing, book time on servicing. Speaking of books, before we close this one out, I want you guys to give me half a second. Thank you for giving me that half a second. I needed it. In here is what I consider to be pert near the holy grail of what a small engine mechanic needs to have in their arsenal. Now, I've got a smattering here, okay? I've got a Briggs it's an older one, okay? Both of them are older. And it also has a mixed mash of stuff in them. But I reference them quite often when I'm looking for hard to find parts. But we've got some Deutz Alice stuff here. We've got small engine air-cooled service manuals. Briggs and I mean, we've got just all these repair manuals right here. But the meat and potatoes is down here at the bottom of this box, as well as in these service bulletins here. Alice Chalmers Court, Peoria, Oregon. I mean, all kinds of stuff. Due to premature failure of the frame and hitch members of some of the above 1350 field cultivators. This is farming stuff, but it's there. 1979 is the date on that. I have Woods Mower Deck sales manual, which has all kinds of stuff in it. I mean, you name it, this box pretty much has it. And we have Walbro, a full and complete Walbro, including reference material, cross references. That right there is just I knew it was in there. It is invaluable when it comes to what carburetor is going to fit what. You can see the red book all the way at the bottom. Not this one, but all the way down here. That is a very nice Briggs manual. I have a Tecumseh manual. I've got some Kohler manuals. I think that's one sticking out right there that hasn't even been opened. Nope, that is a Briggs Vanguard manual. And these are mechanics manuals. So Zippo is just crapping in high cotton. I couldn't be happier. My neighbor does the barter game and came across these. It was a package deal along with some other things. In fact, a plethora of wheel horses, and I handed him everything in here that was for wheel horses, and we worked out a little barter deal with a roto-hoe that I picked up a couple weeks ago. But anyway, just wanted to share with you guys. I'm crapping in high cotton. That cotton's just wiped me clean as a whistle. So anyway, that's it. This is your friendly neighborhood Zippo. We have gotten through the John Deere 445, and the same service holds true on a lot of years of the John Deere zero turns and a lot of the model numbers. So most everything that I did here today in showing you, sans, you may have a Kohler, you may have a Briggs, you may have a Kawasaki. I don't think they use Honda. Somebody will correct me if I'm wrong. But just a general service, and go through and oil all the pivot points, just take care of all that stuff. And you're going to have a customer for life. They're going to come back to you every time because they know that you do a very thorough job. So that's it. Friendly Neighborhood Zippo right down there is my smiling little face. If you are not already subscribed, you can do it just by clicking that. And then if you want to know when I'm uploading a video, hit the bell icon. And then here's a video, and here's a video. I promise you guys, I will see you on the next one.